all set.
We'll call it August 25th, 2025, Plan Commission meeting order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
John Marshall. Dan Rohede. Present. Joe Sanders.
Here.
Chad Jeffries.
Here.
Laura Sauerman.
Here.
Rich Day.
Here.
Mike Conquest.
Here.
Okay, all members are present this evening. We have a full board. Next item of business will be approval of minutes. Minutes were distributed in your packet. Any questions, corrections, comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Dan Rohede.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Laura Sauerman.
Yes.
Rich Day.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
John Marshall.
Yes. All right, we don't have any old business tonight. New business, 25-30. Cap Development LLC petitioner owner, preliminary PUD approval, public hearing for Capstone Residential Subdivision at 2021 West 133rd Avenue. The staff has requested a deferral because this petitioner has not turned in everything to the city that is required. So this is gonna, well, if we vote on it, which I'm sure we will, it's gonna be deferred to the September 22nd.
Yes, sir.
Plan Commission meeting. If you're here for that petition tonight, like, you can get a card from Josh, our executive secretary, and you can go to his office and see, it's all public record, so if there's anything you want to see on that development, you're certainly welcome to. Just contact him and he'll take care of it. So I don't know if anybody, if you're here for that petition, just, I mean, you're welcome to stay, it's not a problem, just let me know it's not.
So can we ask a question?
You can ask a question, sure.
Okay, so I'm sorry, you're saying it has not been approved yet for the planning?
no,
The
absolutely
PUD has
not.
not been approved yet.
No,
That's what this
no.
is for?
That's the intention of the meeting tonight, was to approve the PUD, but they're not ready. They're not, they don't have everything, they don't have all their submittals turned into the city, so it's not, it's being deferred because it's not ready.
So if we come in and meet with this gentleman, he'd be able to show us the map of the area that's being considered? That's what's
Absolutely, they'll
confusing
show you
the residents.
everything, all the submissions, everything, the engineering, whatever is ready. You talk to Josh Watson or Glenn Land, he's the assistant, and like I said, if you want to get a card for the city, you can call him or come into his office and they'll take care of you.
Okay, thank you. We will do that.
All right, well, hopefully we defer it now.
I'll make a motion to defer.
Motion to defer,
I'll second it for discussion.
I have some comments that I want to make.
okay, well, we have discussions about it.
Look, I found this thing that says ordinance on it quite interesting. And I went online, well, I looked at state code first. Then I looked for 15355 online. Our ordinances don't go that high in 150. So I went to my ordinance book, which is outdated by a couple of years. And yes, it was at that point. And that's when I called Josh and said, Josh, they're supposed to turn in all sorts of stuff. I've got all sorts of questions about this. And he explained to me, Mike, it's going to get deferred exactly because of that. And I mean, we need a construction schedule. Depending on where we are with the sewer plant, this takes up half the capacity for the next 5 years or more. You know, common space says it's usable common space, and they're counting detention ponds as common space, and detention ponds are not common space. Retention ponds are, because you can get a canoe or a kayak and go out there. So there's all sorts of trouble with this. We have the right to ask for stuff. I think we need to know a school impact study, tax study, market study, all this sort of stuff. So I wanted to pop off for a minute and get this on record, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Well, we're gonna discuss on that at the next meeting if they submit on it. So if they don't, you know. get the first-
I'm sorry, one more comment. Is there
Sure, go
anything
ahead.
about the wetlands? The
Well,
wetland
it's all gonna be,
delineation, have
it's
they
all
made any?
included in the discussion. They have to have all, our engineering departments here, I mean, if they don't satisfy Doug, then it's, you know, they have to satisfy all departments in Crown Point. The police, the fire, the engineering, streets, planning. So they don't have their submissions in. So it's hard to discuss it because they haven't turned it in. That's why we're deferring it tonight.
Thank you.
And wetlands are not considered usable common space, so that shouldn't be counted either. But
So, again, I turned in some documentation from the Indiana Department of Environmental
Did you
Management
turn it
on
in,
Friday.
Josh?
He did.
Okay, well, then it's part,
It's,
it'll be
it's
part
on
of
my
the
desk with
record
the
and
file.
it's in the file and it'll be presented when this is presented as a whole. All right, we have a motion and a second for deferral for 25-30. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call roll.
Dan Rohaley.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Laura Sauerman.
Yes.
Rich Day.
Yeah.
Mike Conquest.
yes,
John Marshall.
Yes. All right, hopefully we see all you folks on September 22nd and we'll get into this.
Thank you very much.
It's for sure not a done deal, so.
Ben, do you have some business cards over there as well?
don't.
That's all
I've
right.
got-
Let me have that.
You know where this, you know where this.
I've got 5.
I know you got one.
Okay, moving on, new business, 25-31, Timothy and Nancy Briggs, conditioner owner requests a secondary plot approval for an office building at 700 West Burrell Drive. Please state your name and address. for the-
My name is Tim Briggs, 3437 West 136 Lane, Crown Point. And I'm here with my wife Nancy and our engineer Laura Brown from Aben Marsh. And we have some property in the Feather Rock Professional Office Park area there, about almost 3 acres, and we're planning to divide it into 2 parcels. And we're going to build our office building, 5,000 square foot building on the east parcel and hold the parcel to the west for future development or for sale. So we're requesting secondary plat approval.
Okay.
And we'll answer any questions you might have.
All right, Josh.
Yes, sir. Petitioner is requesting secondary plat approval for a re-subdivision of lot 2 in the Feather Rock subdivision located at 700 West Burrell Drive. Re-subdivision of lot 2 would be dividing the current lot into 2 lots. Lot 2A would move forward with site development for an office building, lot 2B being determined at a later point in time. Lot 2A would be a 1.78 acre lot, and lot 2B would become a 1.16 acre lot. Subdivision was presented as a workshop at the April 28, 2025 Planning Commission meeting, where it was viewed favorably by the commission. Primary plat was approved at the June 23rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. No letters of remonstration or support have been received. Planning Department recommends approval of petition 2531.
Okay, thank you, Josh. Bring it to the board for any questions or comments for the petition.
I appreciate you doing the sidewalk.
Okay, Mike?
Mr. Royal,
I got no.
that doesn't happen often. Any Anybody else with any questions or comments?
Thank you again for the site.
Thank you. Thank you.
Seen this a couple times. I think you did a nice job presenting this, so. Hopefully, success and have a busy office.
Thank you very much.
Anybody would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve petition 25-31 as presented.
I have a motion and a second. You got ran over there. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Dan Rohaley.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Laura Sarman.
Yes.
Rich Day.
Yes.
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
John Marshall.
Yes. Approved 7-0.
Well, thank you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
All right, next item on new business, 25-32, Estates Development LLC petitioner owner requests a secondary plat for Greenview Phase 1, East 101st and California Store.
Good evening, Jeff Yatsko with Old Toff Homes, representing Estates Development. Tonight, we're seeking approval for Greenview Phase 1. This is 97 lots. And as mentioned during the primary plat approval, this phase also includes both entrances. So we expanded this phase so that we would have 2 entrances into this community. It includes the ponds. And that's pretty much everything in Phase 1. I will work with engineering to secure the bond for things that are left still, but we're on track to have roads installed still this year, so. And I can answer any questions.
Old Toff Homes is petitioning for the secondary plat approval for Phase 1 of Greenview at Summer Tree, an approximately 199 lot subdivision located off of East 101st to the southwest of the Summer Tree subdivision. This petition appeared at the December 11, 2023 Plan Commission meeting as a workshop where it was viewed favorably. That came back to the Plan Commission on May 13, 2024, where it received a favorable recommendation, which was adopted by City Council, with final approvals being received at the February 24, 2025 Plan Commission meeting. Final plan shows a combination of single-family homes and shared cottages. Phase 1 would consist of 97 lots and 5 outlots, with no design changes being made between final PUD approval to the Phase 1 secondary plat. The developer has worked with planning, engineering, fire, and utilities to meet the city's requirements. The plans have been reviewed and approved by city staff. Planning and Zoning Department recommends approval of petition 2532.
To the board, for any questions or comments?
I do have a question. The, on California Street where it's attaching, provide the second entrance. There's a unsubdivided land. Or that, for some reason, that wasn't included.
The second entrance of California?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, what was the question?
There's a parcel to the west of where California's gonna be done. There's no lots in there, it just says unsubdivided.
Correct. So Providence Development owned, I think their primary plat had a cul-de-sac in there originally. So we traded land with them. So we bought that right away. So what you see there, that vacant area will actually be Providence lots that
Oh, I see.
that they'll be still platting. We put the utilities in for them. So we kind of did, we worked with them so that they won't tear up the road. But yeah, those will be Providence lots.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Quick one for Josh. Normally in your report, there is a line of demonstration in favor or against.
So this one's not a public hearing, so they didn't have to do any type of public notice for it.
Yeah, it's a little hard to extrapolate, interpolate between the GIS mapping and your plats, okay? But it really gives the appearance that you're encroaching and will be building some on the very north end of your, like in plat number, well, at the north end of the property and at the south end of the property, that you're actually building in FEMA DFR. And
Yes.
I believe you can do that, but there are some rules when you do that where they can't be just regular houses. They have to be built according to their rules, and the owners have to have flood insurance. Is that the case?
So that's not the case in this one. So we have a permit with the IDNR. So we're doing fill in a floodplain. Now, as part of that, and the reason the whole entire site was engineered with compensatory storage requirements. So in fact, we just had it as built. So every single lot in Greenview will be buildable outside of floodplain. And so no homeowner will have to require flood insurance. We had to do that where we did fill some of the floodplain, but we had to, give up other areas to make sure that we traded some areas for other areas. So yeah, we have the permit with the DNR that's been provided to planning. And we're going through the final steps right now with FEMA. So your question's valid. So there are some lots that we can't build on just quite yet because FEMA still has to do their, final look and review. But we'll hold those lots. We won't even permit those lots until we know that it's been approved. And then we will, we'll go in for permit.
So are you just getting, when you say FEMA's gonna approve it, what they did in Texas is just said, we'll just erase that. You're not just having it erased, you're amending. the
Correct.
lot.
Correct. We're doing they call it a letter of map amendment and a letter of map removal. So that's the formal process that we're going through. So they will actually amend their maps. So you will see that any lot in Greenview is not in the floodplain.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else with any questions or comments? Anybody have a motion?
Make a motion to approve petition 25-32, secondary plat. So step
Motion to approve.
Second that.
Second, further discussion? Seeing none, call roll.
Dan Haley.
Yes.
Joe Sanders.
Yes.
Chad Jeffries.
Yes.
Laura Severman.
Yes.
Rich Day.
yes,
Mike Conquest.
Yes.
John Marshall.
Yes. Approve, so
Jeff, that was the best explanation of compensatory storage offset. Short and sweet too.
I've done that for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely, as soon as we get that from FEMA, I will pass that information along to engineering and planning.
And it sounds like they're doing a great job.
So it's going to be a really, really nice development. So, all right, thank you.
Okay, next time on new business, 25-33, 5M Crown Point LLC petitioner owner requests a workshop for office building site development at 106 US Highway 231. As you know, workshop is motion discussion about project, to see where the members feel about changes or comments. So that being said, please state your name and address for the record. Tell us your name.
My name is James Huss with DVG Team here on behalf of 5M Crown Point LLC. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to pass around some handouts.
Go ahead.
So the property before you, the current address is 106 East State Road 8, otherwise known as US 231. This is 2 lots east of the CVS pharmacy at the northeast corner of Broadway and 231. The primary plat was approved at last month's meeting. Since then, we have received engineering sign off from a stormwater perspective. The point of, at least my goal of tonight's meeting, is to discuss the merits or non-merits of providing a frontage road. It's been expressed that planning recommendation would not be received without a frontage road, which I certainly understand the merits of, but what I'd like to discuss tonight is whether that is a requirement of NDOT more so the city, or whatever the case may be, because as I have in a couple exhibits in this packet illustrated what a frontage road would look like. It's on about the 4th or 5th pages of your packets. Those are different from the site plan that we've submitted for site engineering. And what I believe it shows is that if we were to accommodate a frontage road, this lot may be able to absorb the offset back, but it would then make the 3 residential properties east of this basically undevelopable from a commercial, I think that's a word, undevelopable from a commercial perspective. At which point then we may very well be making a frontage road to nowhere that might look a bit odd far beyond decades into the future. And I'm trying to get the board, the commission's feel for if we do install a frontage road, which I think is possible on the lot with the site adjustment, what's the city's vision of what that road would eventually connect into, given that the uniqueness of where this lot and the lots to the west of it enter onto 231, we don't really want to encourage a great increase in traffic. And I think providing a frontage road to the east that could then potentially tie into something else such as Delaware might not be the best idea. That's I really intended this meeting to be more or less an open conversation to the pros and cons of doing this. And if it means that maybe foregoing the frontage road requires us to come back through BZA to receive variances from the city's requirement, which is related to marginal access streets, which could be applied here, then that's steps we're willing to take, but really trying to discuss the pros and cons in the case of this very specific development and how it affects the viability of the land east.
Okay. Up for the board to,
Like, I get your point, I see what you're saying, but I know we certainly don't want individual driveways for each development that goes along in the future. Traffic nightmare off of 231.
What has the state of Indiana provided you, if anything?
The state of Indiana has provided us a NDOT permit, and I will be the first to admit the reason they provided that is because this lot specifically only requires a utility permit or a water connection, I believe.
So they've given their blessing to the curb cut off of that's already established by the CVS.
In this case, they didn't have to because it was already there.
Okay.
But yes, the plan before you on the second page of your packet, just beyond the cover sheet, that was presented to the Indiana Department of Transportation.
what is the city's position, Josh? We require.
Yes, the city's position on it, and it has been for some time, is anything throughout that corridor, whether it is on the north or the south, needs to have a frontage road on it. We had this conversation actually with James Huss and NDOT when it came to the south side. There was some hesitation, we'll say, on their side on whether or not why he's here now, whether or not it was really necessary. The city's position is there needs to be a frontage road, and if the concern right now is how will that look for future development, then maybe we might have to do with the north side what we did with the south side, which is until there is a comprehensive development plan for that entire corridor, maybe not allow it. If we don't want to just try to piecemeal things in, or as James just said, we don't want to put in a frontage road that leads to nowhere. This might just be very similar to when we had a couple other site developments try to come through, which is it might be Yeah, let's talk.
If they're looking at the south side of the plan, are they also looking at the north side as well? And they haven't finished their
No, I haven't seen that.
their recommendations or their plan.
Correct.
Their less than approved plan.
Correct.
And if I could just add real quick, sorry, Joe, I didn't mean to interrupt. And everything Josh said is, it makes total sense. I agree with it, the need for a frontage road in this area. What I'm contending is the unique situation on this lot is that as the land shrinks down and becomes less and less useful to anybody, we wouldn't need a frontage road because essentially this development would be at the end of a frontage road, and you wouldn't need to carry a frontage road through to nothing else. So it's the only differential I see in maybe the lots to the west or the land to the south. It's different, similar but different.
But we don't know what NDOT's ideas are. They're still studying.
I believe they're technically studying Delaware and east of Delaware. I do, but I'll be the first to admit I do not know the west limit of that study. Sorry.
I thought they were looking at this whole corridor.
I believe we've got Structure Point working on that whole corridor.
But does a frontage road necessarily have to be in the front? The map and that driveway there where the one homeowner has his garage on it? Design an alleyway in the back.
Existing building, right? We're showing a pond in the back of the building.
We are, yes.
I think this is kind of the catch-22, like we talked about on the south side of 231, right? We came in, there was a couple of small coffee shops, I think, maybe the eye doctor or something, but it was the fact that it almost needs master planned out, right? So it almost like needs somebody to buy all those lots. And I think it's even a more difficult situation on the north side, the way they kind of come into that pie shape. But I think the thing that we have to think about too is, I almost feel like as we start heading east from the property that you're talking about, as it gets down to that pie, that may wind up being just a retention area. You might get one more building in there. You know, I mean, if you're lucky. I don't see that as a big development on that side of the road, unless you start acquiring, you know, I think it's that railroad right away behind it that you've got.
But beyond that is also the path, which will
Yeah,
eventually.
so I mean, it's like you're kind of stuck with the amount of property you can get there. Amber alert? Yeah. And that's where I think the south side, right, master planning that whole thing out with almost one developer or one development, it's kind of, that would be the way I think we would need to look at that. I think on the north side, the way it goes down into that pie shape, I mean, my personal opinion, I just think that some of that property is not gonna be suited for building. You know, it's just gonna be too little to put commercial in with parking, with everything we look. So I don't know that it's gonna wind up being necessarily a frontage road to nowhere, where if you get maybe one more building in and retention farther to the east, it might be able to service one more, you know, you might service one more lot there. I think, you know, we always talk about looking at some of these as an individual basis. I mean, purchasing that lot with your tie-in from the entrance that goes into the frontage road at CVS, right? Do you hold that one up, not knowing what's going to go back to the east on the pie shaped lot, or do we just stick to our guns and say all this, everything here until we get to Delaware's got to be master plan? But I think that's the kind of spot that we're in here.
And to that point, I will add, I think it was the fourth or fifth page, kind of the alternate site plan with the frontage road. Those two thick blue lines were just a quick, because we're talking conceptual. The blue line to the south is a 60-foot offset from 231's right-of-way line, and then the second blue line is 15-foot offset, which I believe is a required, would be a setback to a potential new lot line, just to kind of give you a feel for how little, if we installed that frontage road, how little usable space would be left east of this lot. You'll see a dimension of about 134 feet, and it goes down to 50 feet. Realistically, we can attest, TVG can design some really small site plans, but they're usually really small rectangles. And when you start thrown angles, it becomes really, really difficult to Chad's point, to fit a building or a development that's compliant with stormwater, parking, and anybody that would want to be there at the end of a dead end.
I still think we're just at the mercy of state of Indiana. I mean, we do stuff and they rip it out.
It's another example of, another example of how it goes in Indiana. We develop and then worry about the roads later. 'Cause further east of this is the fountains. What do you think traffic is gonna be on this road and it's just, here we go again. Broadway, same thing.
Well, at least they're looking, at least the state of Indiana is looking at it to tell us, this is what we want.
Yeah, but there needs to be improvements to this road and it probably won't happen for another decade with the state.
So I'm sitting here looking at Google Maps and looking at your stuff here. I'm assuming that the red line on this C10 is probably the setback or right of way or whatever.
Yeah, that
Is there any way possible that that frontage road could be moved closer to 231? Okay, dumb question. I'm just, and here's another thought, but this doesn't work right now either. You know, take it in, run it up to the north and run it then back to the east, southeast to join up with 121st. But you have a house there that has a or garage sitting on 121st. So that's not gonna work right now either. I'm just trying to think of.
there's a lot of kind of what ifs dealing with property owners that are not under this petitioner's ownership. People that do not have their land on the market. I think another factor to bring into play, which I think favors kind of isolating this area, is, I mean, we're probably going to have a path back there before INDOT comes and improves 231. Do we want? I would contend that we don't want a crossing there. And connecting this road again into another road actually encourages more traffic than is going to be generated by essentially 3 commercial lots if they were isolated at this point.
Mr. Rohde, he said, I mean, we could be here all night trying to figure this thing out, but until we hear from the state as to what they're about that. Anything we come up with change is from the state from that.
Tail wagging the dog.
Let me ask a question from a little different direction, if I may. So a lot of smaller strip mall office, front doors, whatever, do share parking lots along the way without an extra road. I mean, by definition, is a service road something that's going to have an opening from each end? Do we have to have it open all the way to Broadway or the other side of 231 to the east or to the southeast, I guess? I guess I'm looking at this little triangle that's left, or a couple of triangles that are left, thinking, if there's small concerns anyway, are we going to have so much traffic on that end? And we discourage the amount of traffic, like you said, by not having to connect to anything. But we don't want to isolate this last property completely. I don't know.
You mean connect the parking lots?
Yeah. I mean, that happens other places. You don't want it to go on forever.
No.
But for a couple of lots, that's not unusual. But is that considered still a service road then? People are driving through one parking lot to get to the next?
I don't think so. The other thing you have to bear in mind is right now it's still different lots, which means anything that would go in is going to need, I mean, at that point, you're forcing people to need variances for, right-of-way access, things like that. I mean, like I said, my thoughts are until the state says things are clear to move forward, Mr. O'Haley, I think our hands are tied on a lot of it.
You know, another concern is, and I didn't look at these other 3 lots, I'm assuming they're zoned residential.
They are.
But basically, from what you said, you render them basically useless.
That's a true statement. We would 100% render them useless, in my opinion, spatially, if
Okay,
we
wouldn't
put
that-
frontage road.
Would that be considered a taking? Could that come back to bite us in the rear?
I don't think you're restricting its use from what it is today.
Well, if you devalue someone's property, that's a taking. And am I wrong, Dan?
I'm not sure, but
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, Joe is on,
Yeah.
you just can't see him.
Yeah, there wouldn't be anything that I would have knowledge off the top of my head.
Yeah, my contention is simply, and I'm not a lawyer, but we're not devaluing it from what it is today. And I think if somebody were to come in, try to go commercial with it, they would bump up against spatial requirements, realize that it's not valuable for anything but what it is today.
And in my mind, you just lowered their property value, and so who's gonna wanna buy it? Who's gonna wanna buy it, and again, if that land goes from being worth so much, like, let's say $10 down to nothing, that could be a taking in my thinking, or at least they could certainly try to do something with that. I think they're.
I agree, but would add that I think the roundabout, whenever it comes along, will do that on its own.
Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Tim McKenna, 1024 Court, Crown Point. I'm managing partner of 5N. I bought the house 4 years ago, and an hour ago is the first time I heard about a frontage road. We've been through this process of developing this and meeting Plan Commission last month. Met with city leadership. So first off, this is the first time I've heard of it. The site was designed, the building was designed that should the 2 neighbors to the east be interested in selling their properties, we could connect the parking lot. This building is 7,000 square feet leasable. The retention pond behind this building would support a second building on those 2 lots. The next door neighbor's name's John Burgess. I've had a lot of conversations with him. Who knows, everything's for sale if the price is right. But I've had conversations with him about the parking lot connecting and then just having 2 very likely medical office buildings because they don't generate a lot of traffic. Our understanding all along was that we wanted to minimize whatever went in here. We weren't going to put, I've been approached by, for fast food restaurants and things. We own the property to the west that's between us and the CVS. It's just, this has been delayed a couple of times and I'm a little bit surprised because this is 4 years and now I'm hearing the city says there should be a frontage road. We had met with leadership. Nobody's ever said that till 6:30 tonight.
Actually, just for the record, Mr. McKenna, when James brought this to my department back in April, that was the first thing I said to him was it needs a frontage road. And that's where it's been sitting ever since.
What would it, okay, excuse me, so we can do the frontage road that would work with our building. I'm actually advocating for the people to the east of us. They have residential when I bought this property, I think the real estate taxes were $1,600 a year. Putting in an LLC, they went up to over $6,000 a year. When it's a commercial property, it's going to generate a whole lot more real estate taxes and employment. These are medical, very likely medical or financial jobs. The 3 houses to the east, I had started a while back because working on it was designated 5 years ago as potentially a TIF district. because that area was not really developable. They have cleared behind there, by the way, for the bike path, so it'll be very difficult to do anything behind there now. NIPS goes through there, and then, and like I said, they've cleared for the bike path that comes through there. My dream vision would be there would be two buildings. The last piece would be a welcome to Crown Point for the trailhead for the bike path. You know, I actually talked to our architect about making it look like courthouse. So he did, Ted Rohn did the architecture on the trailhead over on Summit with the old water tower. So that, you know, that's just ideas thrown out there. But at the present time, the retention pond that's been engineered and approved, and we've gotten a lot of state release, and I'm new at this, so I don't understand all of this. But the state release and just got the stormwater thing. The retention pond's big enough to handle another 7,000 square foot building where the two houses to the east are at, not the third one. The third one's been for sale for a long time. I understand the owner believes that it's gonna have a lot of commercial value, but it's on a pie shape and the roundabout's gonna devalue it. So our building would still work with the frontage road. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to run a frontage road where those other houses are at and make that not commercially viable, other than someone coming in from the north side, which on the other side of the bike path, that property is 9 acres that's owned by the woman that sold the property to Mr. Kimmel for the fountains. So anyway, that's just my point. I get it that you know, maybe we didn't communicate here. It's just, we've had multiple delays and I'm kind of thinking, okay, we can start moving forward. And now I'm hearing that we're gonna have to go to Indianapolis or something to start down there and work our way north. I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate y'all.
So is Indus supposed to be getting back to us with some kind of information?
We had reached out to Structure Point to come up with something. Anything that comes through this area, NDOT's going to have to review. As James had stated, with them already having that cut, being able to access that CVS parking, they were okay with this, but they still need a frontage road through there. So it was, you can have access, but NDOT wants frontage road north and south on 231.
That's NDOT stating that. They want the frontage road?
Yes.
So what is it we're waiting on now for more information?
Well, I'm not waiting for anything from NDOT other than, oh, actually, I'm not waiting for anything from NDOT right now. The only thing the city's waiting for is an overall concept plan for that area. There's supposed to be one coming down the pipe. I just haven't seen it yet.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought they had alluded to waiting on it.
That would be Structure Point will come up with correct design.
Correct.
Is there any possibility that they could dedicate the right of way for the frontage road and then we have it available to us in December? I mean, that frontage road just kills them on these lots. So it goes right through their house on both of them. Is there any way to have a dedicated right of way?
I don't know the answer to that offhand.
Because
The
it
other thing
seems
that
like
would go along
we're
with that,
unfairly holding up this petitioner.
right? The other thing that would have to go along with that, I'm sure, would be the financing to put that in when the time comes. Because the last thing we want to do is just have it dedicated when it's on the developer to put it in. We don't want the city to have to pay for it later on down the road.
Well, it
So that's
seems like-
probably
It
gonna have
seems
to
like,
be-
you know, this petitioner's ready to put up the building, which see his point of view.
So that's probably gonna have to be a conversation between staff and legal or something.
Could they dedicate it and bond it or something and then?
Don't get nuts.
Who knows?
That could be something we could look into, but it'd be unique.
John, are you contending that have a site plan that's further enough back that it can still tie into the pavement there, but provide space for a road.
Well, just, I would, I would make you put the space in for the frontage road if it ever goes in. It looks like you have a site plan here that works with the frontage road. I think it works better without it.
I honestly think that the first, C 105. Without the frontage road, to me, it seems like that has a better flow to it even than kind of frontage road and then having to swing into the parking lot from that. But I just want to be 100% clear that the frontage road we're seeing on C 103. That's what NDOT is telling us we have to have. In all of our prior conversations, that is correct.
I mean, it really makes everything to the east of that almost non-commercial building.
I don't, oh, I'm sorry.
No, really.
Are you done?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just.
And look. If I heard the gentleman correctly, he said he's talking to the one owner to the east. And there's been talk of maybe sales sort of thing. And you're talking about a second building. If you kind of flipped the building and the parking lot and put the building down by the frontage road on both lots, it would fit, and then you'd have a big triangular area that you could use for parking, and that would work. And that second building may pay for buying those other lots. I don't know if those people are amenable to that, but I mean, would certainly be worth a try.
Having looked at it pretty intimately,
What now?
having looked at it and potential options for that area, if the frontage road is not built and we were able to move the site closer to 231, but still not egregiously close, realistically, you could mirror the site plan and more than likely only have enough room for probably a 2-unit or a 5,000 square foot building. With a full 7,500, we would probably be coming in for variance on parking just a little bit, but spatially that's about how it works. But with the frontage road offset and you giving away that or laying off that 75 feet, anything east of here goes away.
Well, look, from what I hear from Josh, the state wants the frontage road. So, explain that to the owners that their property is worthless basically right now, if they ever want to sell it. And again, I don't have a measuring stick, but I can use my pen and kind of measure, and that building would fit down in that triangular area, and you'd have a whole big area behind the park. I'm trying to help you skin the cat.
Well, I don't know why the plan at 105 doesn't work, because if they did dedicate a crossover to that, that's the same as having a frontage. We have lots, commercial lots now that go to a building and get to another building. We have them all over. Lydium, commercial subdivision, Delaware, we have them all over.
Yeah, that was my point.
Yeah.
We got places where you go through the parking lot to get to the next
To
part.
be honest with you, I don't think IDOT knows what they're doing, because I've seen them do one stupid thing after another. The thing on Broadway, when they erased lanes, that was just completely idiotic. But I think their first rendering here, or first site review works, as long as we get them to do a parking lot cross agreement, so that if something gets built here, they can tie it. That's putting the frontage road in anyway. Frontage road is it.
But will the state allow the frontage road to go through a parking lot?
I know even in staff review comments we've had, we've all agreed that there shouldn't be any parking on a frontage road. So whether or not the state will allow it, I can't attest to.
Have we presented it to them?
That is the.
So-
The last time we presented another project that was on the south side, and they actually were not thrilled with us for granting a variance to allow the front to be closer to 231. So luckily that variance has since expired.
I wouldn't worry about the state.
It's still in the
I
same-
can give them a whole list of grievances that I have lots of that stuff.
But again, my
They'll
question,
listen to you.
I'm sure, well,
Yeah.
but, you know,
the definition of a frontage road, is it no longer a frontage road if it doesn't have another egress ingress on the other side?
Oh, I'm sure. I've seen frontage roads at that end.
And I think to your point, Laura, I'm not trying to argue against the merits of a frontage road in air quotes in this area. What I'm, in my one sentence answer to what this development would be, is that it's essentially a development at the end of a frontage road. And then why would we carry it? Why would we lay off that much room to carry a road to nothing else? And the spatial impacts it has by going the opposite
Then that
route.
brings up Mike's argument about the other property owners thinking that they have a gold mine there for further commercial development.
Maybe the reality is, it's not, it's residential. I mean, you got 3 or 4 residential lots that just because of the way land configuration is, doesn't support any type of commercial development.
Again, if you can't even be able to build a house there, it's worth a lot less than residential land.
Well,
Look at the houses now.
it's still usable, they've got a driveway onto 231. It's still
I'm just-
usable.
And there was questions like these that were brought up in conversation with staff where it became, then maybe the answer to this is there needs to be an overall development plan for that area.
But that doesn't help the developer.
No.
It delays him.
And you
And
can't
his
force
investment.
the others to rezone if they want to rezone.
Correct.
Look, we came with 4 questions and answers.
so what are we trying to tell the petitioner, whether or not this drive is good enough, or do we require, we're trying to tell him if this drive-through parking lot would be good enough for the other 2 lots, or we're trying to tell him he needs to put front? What exactly are we trying to advise him to do?
So all I can advise you is staff and state comment, which was everything needs to have a frontage road through there. What the state would accept as defined as a frontage road, I can't really attest to. Staff's comment was we didn't want parking on a frontage road.
Okay, so the state requires a frontage road for what purpose? Traffic flow.
Traffic
Off
flow
of the
do not
main
have as
highway.
many curb cuts onto 231.
Am I saying it again? The CVS road that stops, that were extended to the back, and you have a frontage road in back, you have access to these businesses from the rear. And the footprint could stay from the original plan, I mean. If NDOT's goal is to not have the curb cuts like we want, not have the additional traffic, get the traffic that is going to these businesses off of the highway, they'd be opposed to a proposal like that. Plenty of property right there before the pathway, I don't know. Vegetation. between the
When,
Just throwing it out.
one of the developers that I spoke with, given that we have the property to the west, there's 2.8 acres west, came up with a drawing and he actually had that road going back and tying into Delaware and going through the property behind it as all being a part of a development in the future. And selfishly, I was going to make sure that whatever I've already talked with an architect about drawings next to CVS, that it would be enough property there to have a street put in that would, in the future, could do that. In other words, we won't close that off as an option because it may make that more commercially viable property directly to the north, which with everything going on probably is going to get developed. There's roundabouts I know going in further north on Delaware. The roundabout goes up into the fountains, and there's another roundabout that potentially there could be an ability to tie in off that roundabout, that if they wanted to develop that property to the north in the future, they would have the ability to come between those two. It makes my property more valuable if that's a potential for a street there if I don't close it off. The only alternative, honestly, is to rehab the house and get it back off the commercial tax rolls and rent it out like the eye doctors are doing across the street. Because I can't afford to put a road in. And then I would just need to know what the process of petitioning the state would be to, you know, I don't know, NDOT would give a variance or what. I would just need to know what we need to do there. But then, thank you.
Well, if it's a workshop and we're just kind of giving our opinions. Like the original, without the service road. You end up.
Okay, so for the sake of conversation, I think our next step, I can even reach out to our contact at NDOT with both designs and just say between these two, which one would you guys sign off on? That seem fair?
Look, I think, yeah, we need some more information, and the state is, or at least I feel that we need more information, and the state is key to this. I'd love to see this go in here. I mean, this would make a very nice addition to that area. But again, if if you put those homeowners in a position, well, I guess I'm gonna live here for the rest of my life, but screw them next door, you know, because now my property's not worth anything, then I don't know that I like that look either. We need some more information, and I think maybe you guys could look at other, maybe creative ways to do some things, and but the state is looking for is just absolutely essential on this one.
Yeah, so I think it's worth trying to be the advocate for that and say, look, this, we know what the state requires or what they'd like to see, but that first design would work. You're only gonna fit probably one more development to the east of this building. And then Mr. McKenna's plan of, you know, trailhead there. Later, and I like that idea, but then you'd only need to connect to one more parking lot. You don't have to go through another parking lot, another one, and another one to get to the end. You'd have their parking lot connected to the next one. Okay, whether that flies or not, I don't know, but it's worth asking. So yes, I agree with you, Josh. It's worth putting in front of them, you know.
Mr. McKenna, are you comfortable with that if I reach out?
Yeah, whatever you need.
Would structure point help with the content?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Input from them.
Yeah.
It's a unique situation because of the way it ties out and it just skinnies down. I mean, we wouldn't be having this conversation if these were all rectangular, right? Lots.
If they were deep lots, we would throw it in tomorrow and move along our.
Put another coffee up.
Okay, any further comments?
I mean, beyond that, the renderings of your building, I think, look nice.
Really nice.
I think we've kind of gotten stuck on, you know, some traffic stuff, but I think what you got put for your, you know, the limestone and the brick and the hip roofs all around, I think it's got a very classy vibe to it.
Yeah, I certainly didn't mean to brush over the fact. I think Tim's shown he's ready to build a first-class product, which is why we really didn't touch on it tonight.
It has like a classy medical, you know, sort of tempo about it, so I think the building looks good. I think we're just gonna get clarification from, what's gonna be acceptable now as
Right.
far as.
And that's
Access to
being a medical building with, kind of in line with what's happening in Crown Point, more and more of these. Other than we're not arguing how to get to another McDonald's here, so.
You got it.
I think that's all I have.
Okay, well, hopefully
Appreciate
we have
everybody's
a
input.
sense of what the planning commission is thinking.
Josh, can you throw me on that correspondence?
Can you shoot me an email with that updated 103 with the showing the front road? Because I'd like to just send them each example.
I will have that to you in the morning.
Outstanding, thank you, sir.
Appreciate everybody's time.
Okay. Miscellaneous business?
Just one thing, happy birthday, Chad. I'm sure this is exactly where you want to be.
Thank you, thank you.
Any public comment? Anything to say, Sam?
Too much for tonight, not enough time.
That being said, if there's no other further business, look for a motion for adjournment.